Welcome to another immersive episode from Sleepy History. Today, we're stepping back in time for a delicious deep dive into the kitchens of the medieval world. From the comforting crackle of a village hearth to the sumptuous feasts of kings and queens, this is a journey through taste, tradition, and time. In this video, we'll explore the heart of medieval cuisine, from humble loaves baked in village ovens to the nourishing broths simmered in quiet monastic kitchens. Wander through lively markets where spices and ingredients from distant lands shaped the meals of an era. See how recipes were carefully recorded in early cookbooks, preserving culinary traditions that still influence us today. If you enjoyed this taste of the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next time-travelling tale. Hungry for history? You've come to the right place. Chapter 1. A Feast for Kings. In the grand tapestry of medieval life, few spectacles rival the opulence and grandeur of a royal feast. These gatherings were more than just meals. They were a powerful display of wealth, status, and the delicate dance of diplomacy. As we step into the resplendent halls of medieval kingdoms, we are invited to witness the intricate choreography that transformed a simple meal into a symbol of power and prestige. Picture the sprawling kitchens tucked away in the bowels of a castle, bustling with activity as the sun rises, casting a golden hue across stone walls. Here, culinary artisans of the highest order orchestrate a symphony of flavours. The air is thick with the aroma of roasting meats and exotic spices, a testament to the far-reaching fingers of trade that stretch across continents. Rare spices from the east, saffron, cinnamon, and cloves, to make their way to these kitchens, each grain and stick a treasure worth its weight in gold. For the medieval monarch, the feast was a stage, a carefully curated theatre where every dish played a role in asserting dominance, wooing allies, or impressing visiting dignitaries. The sumptuous spread laid before the guests was a canvas painted with the finest ingredients and the most skilled hands. It was a testament to the kingdom's prosperity and the ruler's magnanimity. To understand the significance of these culinary extravaganzas, one must delve into the journey of ingredients that travel from distant lands to grace the king's table. Caravans laden with spices traverse treacherous paths, braving deserts and seas, their wares destined to transform ordinary dishes into extraordinary experiences. The spices not only enhance flavour, but also symbolise the vast networks of trade and influence wielded by the crown. Amidst this opulence, the unsung heroes of the feast are the royal cooks, the masterful architects of flavour and presentation. Behind the scenes, a hierarchy of chefs and kitchen staff work tirelessly, their roles as finely tuned as an orchestral performance. At the helm is the master cook, whose knowledge of culinary traditions and innovative techniques is unparalleled. Under their watchful eye, each dish is crafted with precision, ensuring that the feast not only pleases the palate, but also adheres to the etiquette and expectations of the court. But what is a day like in the life of a royal cook? It begins before dawn, with the clatter of pots and the crackle of fires being stoked to life. The kitchen is a hive of activity, with apprentices scurrying to and fro, fetching ingredients and preparing meats. The rhythm of chopping, grinding, and stirring forms a harmonious backdrop to the day's preparations. Every task is executed with meticulous care, for in the world of royal cuisine, there is no room for error. As preparations reach a crescendo, the final touches are applied, and the dishes are paraded into the great hall, each one a masterpiece in its own right. The feast is not just a meal, it is an experience, a sensory journey that captivates the eyes, delights the taste buds, and entices the mind. In this chapter, we embark on an exploration of the majestic world of medieval royal feasts, uncovering the secrets of kitchens that are as much a part of the political landscape as they are a realm of culinary delight. Join us as we unravel the traditions, hierarchies, and the sheer artistry that define a feast fit for kings. The pulse of power, culinary command centres. In the grand tapestry of medieval society, royal kitchens were not just centres of culinary creation, but also the bustling heart of political and social power. As one approaches the sprawling domains of a medieval castle, the whispers of history reveal that these kitchens were integral to the courts they served. They were the epicentres where gastronomy and governance intertwined, shaping the experiences of nobility and commoners alike. At the heart of these kitchens lay a highly organised hierarchy, often as complex as the feudal system itself. The head of this culinary empire was the master cook, a figure of immense influence who wielded authority over an army of kitchen staff. This role was not merely an occupation, but a position of prestige, reflecting the trust placed upon them by the monarchy. Beneath the master cook were a myriad of specialists, each with their domain of expertise, from the butler, who managed the pantry and its precious contents, to the saucier, whose skill in crafting complex sauces could elevate a dish to regal heights. The kitchens themselves were architectural marvels, designed to accommodate the demands of a court's feasting calendar. They were expansive spaces, often constructed in close proximity to the Great Hall, where the fruits of their labour would be displayed. The layout of these kitchens was meticulously planned to maximise efficiency, with separate zones for roasting, boiling, and baking. Massive hearths dominated the space, their flames a symbol of the life and energy that flowed through the court. These hearths were tended by scullions and other lower-ranking workers, their toil essential to maintaining the continuous rhythm of the kitchen. A symphony of ingredients, procuring the exquisite. The medieval royal kitchen was a stage upon which a symphony of ingredients played their parts. The grandeur of a royal feast relied heavily on the procurement of exotic and luxurious ingredients, a task that required both skill and diplomacy. The royal pantry was stocked with a dizzying array of goods, sourced from the farthest reaches of the known world. Spices like saffron, cinnamon, and cloves were treasures worth their weight in gold, while sugar, rare and precious, was reserved for only the most opulent of desserts. The logistics of acquiring these ingredients were complex and often involved intricate networks of trade. Merchants and traders, aware of the lucrative potential of supplying a royal court, vied for favour and contracts. Their caravans traversed vast distances, navigating treacherous routes to bring back the exotic flavours that defined medieval haute cuisine. The kitchen's reliance on these international supplies underscored the interconnectedness of medieval societies, with culinary practices often serving as a reflection of broader political and economic relationships. Closer to home, the royal estates provided a steady stream of fresh produce, meats, and dairy. The management of these estates was a task of great importance, coordinated to ensure the continuous supply of high-quality ingredients. Livestock was carefully bred and raised, while gardens were meticulously cultivated to yield a bounty of fruits and vegetables. The bond between the kitchen and the surrounding land was symbiotic, each sustaining the other in a delicate balance. The ritual of preparation, crafting culinary masterpieces, the process of transforming these raw ingredients into culinary masterpieces, was both an art and a science. The medieval kitchen was a place of innovation, where chefs experimented with flavours and techniques to create dishes that would dazzle and delight. The preparation of a royal feast was an elaborate affair, requiring days, sometimes weeks, of meticulous planning and execution. Each dish was a testament to the skill and creativity of the kitchen staff. Roasts were marinated in complex blends of spices and herbs, their flavours deepened through slow, careful cooking. Pastries were crafted with precision, their intricate designs a testament to the baker's artistry. Even the simplest of broths were elevated through the careful balance of ingredients, creating a dish both nourishing and flavourful. The presentation of these dishes was of equal importance. Food was not merely sustenance, but a statement of wealth and power. Elaborate displays adorned the banquet tables, with peacocks, swans, and other game birds presented in their plumage, a spectacle that captivated the senses. Subtleties, edible sculptures crafted from sugar and marzipan, added an element of whimsy and wonder, their forms often depicting scenes of mythology or allegory. The grand banquet, a feast for the senses. The culmination of this intricate dance of preparation was the grand banquet, an event that served as both a celebration and a display of royal magnificence. These feasts were multi-sensory experiences designed to impress and overwhelm guests with their opulence. The Great Hall, resplendent with tapestries and banners, was the setting for these spectacular events. Long tables were laid with fine linens and adorned with glittering candelabras, their flickering light casting a warm glow over the assembled guests. The air was thick with anticipation as the first of many courses was served, each more impressive than the last. Music and entertainment accompanied the meal, adding to the ambience and ensuring that the feast was an event to be remembered. Minstrels and jesters performed for the assembled guests, their talents adding another layer to the sensory tapestry. The combination of flavours, sights, and sounds created an experience that was both immersive and memorable. Culinary diplomacy. The feast as political theatre. In the medieval court, feasts were not just social events, but crucial components of political strategy. They provided a platform for the demonstration of wealth and power, a stage upon which alliances were forged and disputes settled. The art of culinary diplomacy was a subtle yet powerful tool in the arsenal of royals and nobles. The choice of menu could convey messages of friendship or dominance, with dishes often chosen for their symbolic significance. The inclusion of certain ingredients could be a nod to alliances, while the absence of others might hint at tensions. The seating arrangements, too, were carefully orchestrated to reflect the shifting dynamics of court politics. Feasts also offered opportunities for the display of generosity and largesse, traits highly valued in medieval society. The ability to provide for a large number of guests was a testament to a ruler's prosperity and benevolence, enhancing their prestige and reinforcing their authority. Legacy of the royal kitchens, influence and evolution. The influence of medieval royal kitchens extended beyond the confines of the court, shaping culinary traditions that would endure for centuries. The innovations and techniques developed in these kitchens laid the groundwork for modern gastronomy, with many of the dishes and practices still recognizable today. The emphasis on presentation and the use of exotic ingredients continue to be hallmarks of haute cuisine, while the legacy of medieval banquets can be seen in the elaborate multi-course meals of contemporary fine dining. The traditions and rituals established in these kitchens have left an indelible mark on the culinary world, a testament to the enduring power and influence of the medieval court. In the grand narrative of history, the kitchens of the medieval court stand as a testament to the intricate interplay of power, culture, and cuisine. They were centres of innovation and creativity, where the art of cooking was elevated to new heights. and where the simple act of sharing a meal became a powerful expression of identity and influence. The spectacle of power. Feasts as political theatre. In the grand tapestry of medieval history, the feast was far more than a mere gathering for the consumption of food and drink. These opulent events served as potent displays of power, wealth, and influence, meticulously orchestrated to impress guests, intimidate rivals, and solidify alliances. At the heart of these gatherings was the spectacle of abundance, where every dish, every goblet, and every orchestrated moment spoke volumes about the host standing in the intricate web of medieval politics. The grandeur of the Great Hall. Picture, if you will, the Great Hall of a medieval castle, transformed from its daily utilitarian function into a magnificent stage. Long tables, draped in rich tapestries, and laden with the finest silverware, stretch across the room. The air is thick with the mingling aromas of roasted meats, spiced wines, and exotic confections, each scent a testament to the host's far-reaching influence and access to coveted spices from distant lands. The walls, adorned with tapestries depicting scenes of valour and conquest, form a backdrop to this living tableau of power. Seated at the high table, elevated above the rest, the lord or monarch presides over the feast. This elevated position is no mere accident of architecture, but a deliberate choice that reinforces the social hierarchy and the centrality of the host in the social order. The high table is reserved for the most honoured guests, those whose presence symbolises alliances, treaties, or perhaps the hope of future favours. Culinary symbolism and the art of display. Every dish presented at these feasts was more than a culinary creation. It was a symbol, a manifestation of the host's wealth and power. The medieval kitchen, a bustling hub of activity, was tasked with producing dishes that astonished both the eyes and the palate. Exotic ingredients, such as spices from the East, were used not only to flavour the dishes, but to display the host's ability to procure such rare commodities. Peacocks, swans, and even roasted boars were often reassembled to appear as if they were still alive, their feathers or skins used to cloak the cooked meat. This practice, known as entremets, served no nutritional purpose, but was purely theatrical, designed to amaze and entertain the guests. Such displays of culinary artistry signalled both the wealth of the host and the skill of their kitchen staff. The role of the feast in diplomacy. Feasts were not merely opportunities for indulgence, but were strategic tools in the political playbook of medieval rulers. Inviting a rival or a potential ally to a feast was an act laden with significance. It was a gesture of goodwill, an opportunity to discuss matters of state in a less formal setting, and a chance to observe the dynamics of power at play. During these gatherings, alliances were forged, marriages were negotiated, and disputes were settled. The seating arrangement, the order in which guests were served, and even the toasts offered during the meal were carefully orchestrated to convey messages both overt and subtle. A seat at the high table could signify favour, while a conspicuous absence might indicate a fall from grace. Entertainment as a reflection of influence. No medieval feast was complete without a rich programme of entertainment. Jugglers, minstrels, and troubadours provided a soundtrack to the evening, their music and performances reflecting the cultural aspirations of the host. In grander settings, guests might be treated to elaborate theatrical performances or dances, each act serving to reinforce the magnificence of the occasion. These entertainments were not mere diversions, but were imbued with symbolic meaning. The themes of the performances often echoed the host's achievements or aspirations, celebrating victories or reinforcing dynastic claims. In this way, The entertainment served as both a mirror and a magnifier of the host's power and prestige. The aftermath. Influence beyond the feast. The impact of these feasts extended far beyond the confines of the Great Hall. Stories of the opulence and grandeur would spread, enhancing the reputation of the host. A successful feast could elevate a lord's standing in the eyes of peers, while a poorly executed event might damage reputations or signal underlying weaknesses. In the days following a feast, the real work of securing alliances or negotiating treaties would begin, often facilitated by the goodwill and camaraderie fostered during the meal. In this way, the feast served as both a prelude and a catalyst for the intricate dance of medieval diplomacy. Conclusion. The lasting legacy of feasts. The medieval feast, with all its splendour and excess, was a microcosm of the era's social and political dynamics. It was a stage upon which power was both projected and contested, where every dish, every gesture, and every word spoke to the host's place in the world. In understanding these gatherings, we gain insight into the very fabric of medieval society, where food was not just sustenance, but a potent tool of influence and legacy. In exploring the spectacle of medieval feasts, we see the enduring impact of these gatherings on our understanding of history. They remind us that food, in all its forms, has always been a pivotal element in the narrative of human civilization, a narrative that continues to resonate in the grand banquets and diplomatic dinners of our own time. The Spice Odyssey. From distant shores to regal platters, the allure of the exotic. In the grand halls of medieval Europe, where stone walls echoed with the laughter of nobility and the clinking of golden goblets, a silent revolution was unfolding. This was not a revolution of kingdoms or crowns, but one of taste and sensation. The upper echelons of society were awakening to a new world of flavours, a world brought to them by the humble spice traders who traversed treacherous paths from distant lands. Spices were more than mere commodities. They were the harbingers of status and spectacle, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. The intrigue surrounding spices stemmed not only from their aromatic allure, but also their rarity and the mysterious lands they hailed from. Each spice carried with it a story of adventure and discovery, adding an intangible richness to the king's feast. The journey of these spices was as fascinating as the dishes they embellished, weaving a tapestry of cultures and traditions that transcended borders. The spice routes, pathways of prosperity. To understand how these coveted ingredients made their way to the grand feasts of medieval kings, one must first explore the formidable spice routes. These were not mere trails or roads, but sprawling networks that spanned continents and cultures, connecting the bustling bazaars of the Middle East to the vibrant ports of the Mediterranean. It was along these routes that merchants, driven by tales of wealth and prosperity, embarked on perilous journeys through deserts, mountains, and seas. The Silk Road, perhaps the most famous of these routes, was a complex web of trade pathways that facilitated the exchange of not only spices, but also silk, precious stones, and cultural ideas. Stretching from China to the Middle East, it was a melting pot of civilizations, where traders mingled and exchanged goods, stories, and innovations. Similarly, the maritime spice route, known as the Maritime Silk Road, snaked through the Indian Ocean, linking the spice-rich islands of Southeast Asia with the ports of Arabia and Africa. The spice merchants, guardians of flavours. At the heart of this trade were the spice merchants, enigmatic figures who became the guardians of these treasured flavours. They were not merely traders, but cultural ambassadors, bringing with them not only spices, but also the culinary traditions of the lands they visited. Their journeys were fraught with danger, from the threat of piracy on the high seas to the grueling perils of desert crossings. These merchants were adept negotiators and shrewd businessmen, often forming alliances with local rulers to secure safe passage for their caravans. In bustling marketplaces like those in Constantinople or Alexandria, their stalls were a riot of colours and scents, where saffron, cinnamon and cloves vied for attention among a medley of other exotic wares. Here they bartered with local traders, exchanging spices for gold, textiles and other goods, each transaction a delicate dance of haggling and diplomacy. The royal kitchens, alchemy of flavours. Once procured, these spices began a new chapter in their journey, one that would culminate in the resplendent royal kitchens. Here, under the watchful eyes of master chefs, these ingredients were transformed into dishes fit for kings. The royal kitchens of medieval Europe were a hive of activity where cooks worked tirelessly to create culinary masterpieces that would dazzle the senses and affirm the king's status and power. Spices such as pepper, saffron and ginger were particularly prized. Their vibrant flavours, capable of elevating even the simplest of dishes. Pepper, known as black gold, was used liberally to season meats, while saffron added a golden hue and a delicate aroma to rice and stews. Ginger, with its warm, zesty flavour, was a favourite in sweet dishes, often combined with honey to create sumptuous desserts. The feast, a symphony of senses. As the day of the feast approached, the anticipation in the royal court was palpable. The preparation of such a grand event was an art form in itself, requiring meticulous planning and execution. Every dish was a testament to the craftsmanship of the cooks and the opulence of the kingdom. The banquet hall, adorned with tapestries and blazing torches, became a theatre of culinary spectacle. Guests, clad in their finest attire, gathered around long tables laden with an array of dishes. The air was thick with the mingling scents of spiced meats, roasted vegetables, and freshly baked bread. As each course was presented, a hush fell over the hall, the only sounds being the clatter of plates and the murmur of appreciation. It was a feast not only for the palate, but for the eyes and ears, a symphony of senses orchestrated by the humble spices that had travelled so far. The legacy of spices. The influence of these spices extended far beyond the king's table. They played a pivotal role in shaping medieval cuisine, introducing new flavours and techniques that would endure for centuries. Moreover, their impact was not confined to the culinary realm. They were instrumental in the economic and cultural exchanges between East and West, fostering a greater understanding and appreciation of diverse cultures. The legacy of this spice odyssey remains with us today, as modern cuisine continues to draw inspiration from these ancient flavours. The journey of spices from distant shores to regal platters is a testament to the enduring power of food as a bridge between worlds, a reminder that even in the simplest of ingredients lies the potential to transform and transcend. In the end, the story of spices in medieval Europe is more than just a tale of trade and taste. It is a celebration of the human spirit, of the curiosity and courage that drive us to explore and connect with the world around us. As we savour the flavours of the past, we are reminded that the journey of discovery is never truly over, and that there are always new horizons to explore. A day in the life of a royal cook, hierarchy, traditions, and secrets. The dawn of preparations. As the first light of dawn gently kissed the stone walls of the castle, the bustling heart of the royal kitchen roared to life. The hierarchy within these confines was as structured as any army. with the master cook at its helm. This individual, often a man of considerable culinary prowess and experience, was responsible not only for the creation of dishes, but also for the orchestration of a team that spanned from the scullions to the pastry chefs. The day began with the master cook reviewing the menu, a carefully curated list that had been approved by the steward and, ultimately, the king himself. This list was more than a mere inventory of dishes. It was a narrative of power, wealth, and cultural sophistication. Each ingredient was chosen for its rarity, its flavour, and its ability to awe the noble guests who would partake in the feast. The hierarchy of the kitchen. The royal kitchen was a microcosm of the medieval societal structure, with clear roles and responsibilities. At the top was the master cook, whose word was law within the kitchen. Beneath him were the head chefs, each specialising in different aspects of the meal, be it the roasted meats, the delicate pastries, or the intricate sauces. Beneath these head chefs worked the journeymen and apprentices, young men and women learning the trade, each hoping to rise through the ranks. The lowest rung of this culinary ladder was occupied by the scullions, who performed the most menial tasks, such as chopping vegetables and cleaning dishes. Yet, even these positions were crucial, for the success of the feast depended on each individual's contribution. Traditions and rituals. Traditions in the royal kitchen were steeped in both practicality and superstition. One such tradition was the tasting of the king's meal. Before any dish was presented to the royal table, a taster would sample it, ensuring it was both delicious and free of poisoner, constant fear in the politically charged atmosphere of the court. Another tradition was the ceremonial presentation of the first dish. In a grand procession, the master cook would personally present the initial course to the king, a sign of respect and assurance of quality. This tradition underscored the importance of food as a symbol of loyalty and service. Secrets of the craft. Within the walls of the kitchen, secrets were as abundant as the spices that lined the shelves. The master cook guarded these secrets closely, for his reputation and his livelihood depended on them. These secrets included family recipes passed down through generations, techniques for achieving the perfect roast, and the delicate balance of herbs and spices that could transform a dish from ordinary to extraordinary. One closely guarded secret was the use of exotic spices. These spices, often procured from distant lands at great expense, were not only a testament to the wealth of the kingdom, but also a tool of culinary magic. The master cook knew precisely how much saffron to use, how to blend cinnamon with savoury dishes, and the exact moment to add a hint of clove. The role of innovation. Despite the adherence to tradition, innovation was a valued trait in the royal kitchen. The master cook was expected not only to recreate beloved dishes, but also to invent new ones that would surprise and delight the court. This spirit of innovation was particularly evident during grand feasts, where the presentation of a new dish could earn the master cook favour with the king and elevate his status. One such innovation was the use of sugar, a luxury item at the time, in both sweet and savoury dishes. The creation of intricate sugar sculptures became a hallmark of royal feasts, showcasing not only culinary skill, but also the kingdom's ability to afford such excess. The emotional toll. The life of a royal cook was not without its pressures. The constant demand for perfection, the fear of political intrigue, and the weight of meeting the king's expectations took their toll. Mistakes were not tolerated, and failure could mean disgrace or worse. Yet, despite the stress and the long hours, there was a profound sense of pride among those who worked in the royal kitchen. They were aware that their work was not only appreciated, but also remembered. A successful feast could be the talk of the court for weeks, and each member of the kitchen, from the master cook to the lowliest scullion, took pride in their contribution. The evening feast. As the day turned to evening, the culmination of the day's efforts was presented in the grand hall. The feast was a spectacle, with tables laden with dishes of every kind. The air was filled with the aroma of roasting meats, fresh herbs, and sweet pastries, a sensory tapestry that delighted all who were present. The king and his guests dined in opulence, each dish a testament to the skill and dedication of the cooks. The master cook, though weary, watched with satisfaction as each course was served, knowing that beneath the glittering surface of the feast lay the hard work and artistry of his kitchen. Conclusion. In the life of a royal cook, the kitchen was not just a workplace, but a theatre of culinary artistry, tradition, and innovation. It was a world where hierarchy dictated every move, where secrets were the currency of excellence, and where every day presented a new challenge. Through the hands of the master cook and his team, the simple act of preparing a meal became an expression of loyalty, skill, and the enduring legacy of medieval cuisine. The tapestry of royal culinary traditions. As we draw the curtain on our exploration of medieval kitchens and their regal feasts, several threads weave together to form a rich tapestry of culinary tradition and power. These kitchens were more than just hubs of nourishment. They were centres of influence, where the art of gastronomy intertwined with the politics of the court. From the grandeur of opulent feasts that showcased the power and prestige of a kingdom, to the intricate journey of exotic spices and ingredients that travelled across continents to grace the king's table, every element played a vital role in the orchestration of royal life. The life of a royal cook, marked by a strict hierarchy and steeped in tradition, reveals the dedication and skill required to craft these magnificent banquets. Their secrets, passed down through generations, ensured that each meal was a masterpiece, reflecting not just the tastes of the time, but the very essence of the kingdom's might and wealth. For modern readers, these insights offer a window into a world where food was not merely sustenance, but a symbol of power. As we navigate our own culinary journeys, let us draw inspiration from this rich heritage. Embrace the exploration of diverse ingredients, appreciate the artistry behind each dish, and understand the cultural significance that flavours can convey. In doing so, we continue the legacy of those who once cooked for kings, infusing our own meals with history, culture, and creativity. Chapter 2. Village Hearths. Village hearths. The heartbeat of rural life. In the medieval landscape, where towering castles and bustling cities captured much of the historical limelight, lay the quiet, unassuming villages, the true heart of medieval society. Here, amid the verdant fields and winding dirt paths, life thrived around a central pillar, the village hearth. This chapter invites you to step through the rustic threshold of these humble abodes and into the warm embrace of communal kitchens, where the rhythm of daily life was orchestrated by the crackling fire and the clatter of clay pots. In these rural communities, the hearth served not only as a source of warmth, but as the nucleus of existence. It was a place where stories were shared, meals were crafted, and traditions were born. The hearth was a symbol of survival, a sanctuary against the harsh elements, and a testament to the communal spirit that defined village life. Here, the simple yet hearty staples of medieval cuisine came to life, reflecting the resourcefulness and ingenuity of those who coaxed sustenance from the land. The art of cooking in these homely kitchens was a seasonal symphony, dictated by the cyclical dance of the earth. As the seasons shifted, so too did the offerings of the land, with spring bringing fresh greens, summer bursting with vibrant fruits and vegetables, autumn yielding hearty grains, and winter demanding preservation and innovation. Cooking methods evolved accordingly, embracing techniques that made the most of available resource smoking, salting, fermenting, and slow roasting over open flames. At the helm of these culinary efforts were the women of the village, who played an indispensable role as keepers of culinary traditions. These matriarchs were the custodians of recipes handed down through generations, preserving the essence of their heritage and ensuring the continuity of their communities. Their knowledge was a lifeline, their hands weaving the fabric of daily life as they prepared meals that nourished both body and soul. Yet, the village hearth was more than just a kitchen. It was a stage for celebration and camaraderie. Throughout the year, festivals and harvests punctuated the agricultural calendar, offering moments of respite and rejoicing. These occasions transformed the hearth from a site of daily sustenance to a centre of communal joy, where the bonds of kinship were strengthened over shared meals. The aroma of roasting meat and baking bread mingled with laughter and song, creating a tapestry of sensory delight that echoed through time. In exploring the village hearth, we uncover the essence of medieval rural life, a world where food was not merely a necessity, but a reflection of culture, community, and continuity. It is a narrative of resilience and ingenuity, of the human spirit's capacity to thrive in harmony with the land. Join us as we delve into the heart of these rural kitchens, where the echoes of the past invite us to savour a simpler yet profoundly rich way of life. This chapter is an invitation to appreciate the enduring legacy of the village hearth and the timeless traditions that continue to inspire our culinary journeys today. The heart of the village, communal kitchens and their role in rural life. In the tapestry of medieval life, the village hearth was the epicenter of communal existence. It was a place where the boundaries of individual households blurred and the essence of community spirit was kindled. The communal kitchens of rural medieval communities were not merely functional spaces, they were the heartbeats of the village, where food, stories, and kinship intertwined to sustain the body and soul. The communal hearth, a symbol of unity. In the heart of every village stood the communal kitchen, a space integral to the daily life of its inhabitants. Unlike the opulent kitchens of the nobility, these were humble in size, but grand in their role as the crucibles of community. These kitchens were typically housed in a central building, accessible to all, where villagers gathered not only to cook, but to socialise, share news, and offer mutual support. The hearth, the focal point of these kitchens, was more than just a source of heat and a place to cook meals. It represented warmth, safety, and togetherness. The large, open fireplaces were designed to accommodate multiple pots and spits, allowing the simultaneous preparation of various dishes. This communal approach to cooking fostered a sense of shared responsibility and cooperation. Villagers took turns tending to the fire, stirring the pots, and ensuring that the day's meals were sufficient for all. Ingredients of the land. A shared bounty. The menu of a medieval village hearth was dictated by the changing seasons and the bounty of the land. Staple ingredients included grains, legumes, and vegetables, often grown in communal gardens or fields. These gardens were a testament to the collaborative spirit of the community, where labour and resources were pooled for the greater good. Foraged foods played a significant role in the village diet. Herbs, berries, and wild greens were gathered from the surrounding countryside, adding variety and flavour to the otherwise simple fare. The communal kitchen was a place where knowledge of the land was shared and passed down through generations. Elders taught the young how to recognise edible plants and the best times to harvest them, ensuring that the skills necessary for survival were preserved. Protein typically came from sources such as eggs, dairy, and occasional meat from livestock. Hunting was a communal activity, with villagers working together to track and capture game. The spoils of the hunt were shared among the community, with larger feasts held during successful hunts or special occasions. The art of bread making, a daily ritual. Bread was the staple of medieval life, and its making was a daily ritual in the village kitchen. The process of baking bread was a communal activity, with villagers contributing ingredients and labour. Large communal ovens were built to accommodate the baking needs of the entire village. These ovens, often located outside the kitchen to prevent fires, were a hub of activity. The preparation of dough was a tactile and meditative task, involving careful mixing and kneading. It was an art form passed down through generations, with each family adding their unique touch. The baking of bread was timed so that the aroma would fill the air, signalling the start of the day's most anticipated meal. Bread was not only the centerpiece of the meal, but also a symbol of sustenance and sharing. It was common for villagers to break bread together, reinforcing bonds and fostering a sense of unity. The act of sharing bread was imbued with cultural and spiritual significance, seen as a reflection of divine providence and communal harmony. Sustenance and storytelling. An evening tradition. As the day wound down, the communal kitchen transformed into a space of relaxation and reflection. The evening meal was a time for storytelling, where villagers gathered around the hearth to share tales of the day's events, local lore, and ancestral legends. These stories were more than mere entertainment. They were a means of preserving history, culture, and values. The oral tradition was a vital aspect of medieval life, and the communal kitchen provided the perfect setting for its perpetuation. Elders recounted tales of past glories and hardships, while children listened wide-eyed, absorbing lessons and wisdom. This storytelling ritual was a vital thread in the fabric of village life, weaving together the experiences and aspirations of the community. The role of women, guardians of the hearth. In the medieval village kitchen, women played a pivotal role as guardians of the hearth. They were the keepers of culinary knowledge, responsible for preparing meals and managing the household's resources. The communal kitchen was a space where women collaborated, sharing recipes, techniques, and the latest news. Women's contributions extended beyond cooking. They were the nurturers and educators, imparting essential life skills to the next generation. The kitchen was a classroom where daughters learned the art of cooking, herbal medicine, and household management. Women's work in the kitchen was a cornerstone of family and community life, ensuring the well-being and continuity of the village. Festivals and feasts. Celebrating community. The communal kitchen was at the heart of village festivals and feasts, occasions that punctuated the rhythm of the agricultural calendar. Harvest festivals, religious celebrations, and weddings were marked by lavish communal meals, where villagers came together to celebrate the bounty of the earth and the blessings of the season. During these events, the kitchen was a hive of activity, with preparations starting days in advance. Special dishes were prepared, often using rare or expensive ingredients procured for the occasion. The feasts were a display of abundance and generosity, where everyone contributed and partook in the communal joy. These celebrations reinforced social bonds, offering respite from the hardships of daily life and reinforcing a sense of belonging. The communal kitchen, with its warmth and conviviality, was the perfect setting for such gatherings, embodying the spirit of unity and shared prosperity. Challenges and innovations. Adapting to change. While the communal kitchen was a bastion of tradition, it was also a space of innovation and adaptation. Villagers constantly sought ways to improve their cooking techniques, preserve food, and make the most of available resources. The challenges posed by harsh winters, poor harvests, or external threats necessitated creativity and resilience. The communal kitchen became a testing ground for new ideas, whether it was experimenting with fermentation, drying, or salting to preserve food, or devising new recipes to maximize limited ingredients. These innovations were shared and refined collectively, ensuring the community's survival and well-being. Legacy of the village hearth. The legacy of the village hearth endures, a testament to the ingenuity and spirit of medieval communities. The communal kitchen was more than a physical space. It was a symbol of resilience, cooperation, and shared values. The traditions and practices nurtured around the hearth laid the groundwork for future generations, shaping the culinary landscape and social fabric of rural life. Today, the echoes of the medieval village hearth can be felt in modern communal dining practices, the revival of traditional cooking methods, and the enduring importance of food as a means of connection. The lessons of the past continue to resonate, reminding us of the power of community and the timeless significance of breaking bread together. In the village hearth, we find not only the roots of culinary tradition, but the essence of human connection, legacy that transcends time, inspiring us to cherish and celebrate the bonds we share through the simple, profound act of communal cooking and dining. The rhythm of the hearth, embracing the seasons, the heartbeat of the village, seasonality and simplicity. In medieval times, the village hearth symbolized the heart of a community, a place where the rhythms of life were synchronized with the earth's natural cycles. At the hearthside, the essence of simplicity melded with the necessity of sustenance, crafting a culinary culture deeply rooted in the seasons. Here, the bounty of each season dictated the fare, and the simplicity of the ingredients belied the ingenuity of the cooks who transformed them into nourishing meals. During the chill of winter, when the earth lay fallow, villagers relied on preserved foods. Root cellars brimmed with turnips, carrots, and parsnips, their flavours deepened by the earth's cool embrace. Preserved fruits, dried meats, and salted fish sustained families, providing the essential nutrients needed to endure the harsh months. The hearth's warmth was a refuge, its flickering flames a reminder of the sustenance provided by preparation and foresight. Spring's arrival, heralded by the thawing of the ground, breathed new life into the village. Nature's bounty returned, offering fresh greens like dandelion leaves and nettles, which were eagerly gathered and added to soups and pottages. The simplicity of these meals, often consisting of little more than water, herbs, and perhaps a bone for flavour, was deceptive. The skill lay in coaxing the richest possible taste from the barest of ingredients. Summer, with its abundance, was a time of feasting. Gardens yielded beans, peas, and leafy greens, while fields offered grains. Bread, the staple of every meal, varied from coarse barley loaves in poorer households to finer wheat breads in more prosperous homes. The hearth was a bustling hub of activity, its heat a constant companion. It was here that the alchemy of cooking transformed the simple into the sublime. Autumn brought the harvest, a time of plenty that required hard work and careful planning. Fruits were gathered and preserved, grains were threshed, and livestock was culled. The hearth's flames were ever present, drying herbs and smoking meats. As the days grew shorter, the village hearth stood as a beacon of warmth and sustenance, its offerings a testament to the cycle of life. Communal cooking, a shared experience. Cooking in medieval villages was an act of community, a shared experience that brought people together. The hearth was not just a place for preparing meals, but also a gathering spot for storytelling, song, and socialization. The sharing of recipes and techniques was common, with each family adding their unique twist to traditional dishes. Mealtimes were often communal. Large pots of stew or pottage simmered over the fire, their contents determined by what was available and what could be spared. The simplicity of these meals fostered a sense of togetherness, as villagers gathered around to share in the modest bounty. Moreover, the hearth served as a classroom, where knowledge was passed down through generations. Young children watched and learned from elders, absorbing the skills needed to create nourishing meals. Skills like how to judge the ripeness of a vegetable, how to preserve meat for the winter, or how to bake bread using the simplest of ingredients became a part of daily life. Innovative simplicity, techniques and tools. Despite the simplicity of their ingredients, medieval villagers were remarkably innovative in their cooking techniques. The hearth itself was a versatile tool, used not just for cooking, but also for baking, smoking, and drying. Clay pots, cauldrons, and griddles made from cast iron or stone were commonplace, each used to prepare different types of meals. One of the most common cooking methods was boiling, which allowed for the mixing of various ingredients into a single pot. Pottage, a thick soup or stew, was a staple, made with whatever vegetables and meats were available. The slow cooking process allowed flavors to meld, creating a hearty and nutritious dish. Roasting, albeit more labor-intensive, was another technique used to great effect. A spit would be rigged over the hearth, where meats could be slowly turned and cooked evenly. This method was often reserved for special occasions, due to its demand on resources and time. Baking, too, was an essential part of village life. Bread was a staple, and the communal ovens found in larger villages were a vital resource. Villages without communal ovens often used flat stones or griddles to bake simple flatbreads, which were quick and required minimal ingredients. The humble ingredients, stars of the hearth. The ingredients available to medieval villagers were dictated by the land around them. Grains, such as barley, oats, and rye, were staples, forming the basis of porridge, bread, and ale. Vegetables like cabbage, onions, and leeks were common, as were legumes such as beans and peas. These humble ingredients were transformed into a variety of dishes, showcasing the creativity and resourcefulness of the cooks. Herbs and spices, though less common, were used to enhance flavors. Wild herbs such as mint, sage, and thyme were gathered from the countryside and added to dishes for flavor and medicinal purposes. Spices, when available, were a precious commodity, often traded or saved for special occasions. Proteins were sourced from the land and rivers. Chickens and pigs were commonly kept by villagers, providing eggs and meat. Fish, caught from nearby streams or rivers, was a valuable source of nutrition, especially on days when religious observance prohibited the consumption of meat. The legacy of the hearth, a timeless tradition. The medieval village hearth, with its simplicity and innovation, left a lasting legacy on culinary traditions. The focus on seasonal ingredients and the communal aspect of cooking continue to be celebrated in modern times. The hearth's role as a centre of community, family, and sustenance is echoed in kitchens today, where the art of cooking remains a deeply social and nurturing activity. The lessons learned from medieval hearth respect for the seasons, the value of simple ingredients, and the joy of communal meals resonate in contemporary kitchens. As we gather around our modern hearths, we are reminded of the enduring connection between food, community, and the cycle of life, a timeless tradition rooted in the humble village hearth. Embracing the hearth. Lessons from medieval village kitchens. As we draw this chapter to a close, we reflect on the vibrant tapestry woven by the communal kitchens of medieval villages. These hearths were more than culinary spaces. They were the pulsating heart of rural communities, where life unfolded in its simplest and most profound forms. The staple foods, crafted with care and dictated by the seasons, were not merely sustenance, but a testament to resilience and resourcefulness. Women, as the custodians of these culinary traditions, played a pivotal role in preserving and passing down these practices, ensuring the continuity of their cultural heritage. Through festivals and harvest celebrations, the village hearths became the epicenter of communal joy and shared experiences, emphasizing the importance of fellowship and gratitude. For modern readers, the key takeaway lies in the appreciation of simplicity, seasonality, and the power of community in our culinary practices. Embrace the lessons of the past by incorporating seasonal ingredients into your meals, valuing the communal aspect of cooking and dining, and nurturing the traditions that connect us to our roots. These practices not only enrich our daily lives, but also deepen our connection to the food we prepare and share. Chapter 3. Monastic Sustenance. Monastic sustenance, the silent symphony of spiritual feasts. Nestled amidst the tranquil landscapes of medieval Europe, monasteries stood as bastions of faith, learning, and surprisingly, culinary tradition. In a world where the cacophony of feasts and the bustling chatter of village markets defined communal dining, monastic life offered a stark contrasted, silent symphony where each meal was an act of devotion and contemplation. This chapter delves into the unique fabric of monastic sustenance, a world where dining was more than a necessity. It was a spiritual exercise, a reflection of religious discipline, and the quest for divine connection. Imagine a long wooden table surrounded by monks, heads bowed in silent prayer, the only sound, the subtle rustle of fabric, and the gentle clink of earthenware. This was the dining hall of a monastery, a place where meals were consumed in silence, each bite a meditative practice. The silence was not merely an absence of sound, but a profound presence of reflection, a space where the mind could focus on the spiritual nourishment accompanying the physical. Monastic dietary practices were deeply influenced by religious doctrines, emphasizing simplicity, moderation, and sustainability. At the heart of this culinary simplicity was a reliance on local ingredients, a testament to the monastery's commitment to self-sufficiency. Monks cultivated their own gardens, replete with vegetables, grains, and a variety of herbs. These gardens were more than a source of sustenance. They were vibrant symbols of the monastery's connection to nature and the divine. The produce grown in these gardens found its way into the humble yet nourishing dishes served within monastery walls, dishes that mirrored the monastic ideals of simplicity and purity. Bread and broth, staples of the monastic diet, held significant spiritual symbolism. Bread, often referred to as the staff of life, was not just a physical sustenance, but a symbol of spiritual nourishment, reflecting the daily bread of faith upon which the monks relied. Similarly, broths, simmering with the essence of herbs and simple vegetables, were more than just a means to warm the body. They were a soothing balm for the soul, infused with the tranquility of the monastic life. Herbs played a crucial role in monastic cooking, acting as bridges between the culinary and the medicinal. Monastery gardens were rich with herbs known for their healing properties, and the monks, knowledgeable in the art of herbal medicine, skillfully wove these elements into their meals. In this way, each meal became an act of healing, a testament to the interconnectedness of body, mind, and spirit. In exploring monastic sustenance, we uncover a world where the act of eating transcended the physical, becoming a spiritual journey, a reflection of the monks' devotion to living in harmony with nature and their faith. This chapter invites you to step into this serene world, to experience the quiet dedication of monastic life, and to discover the profound simplicity and spirituality that defined medieval monastic cuisine. As we journey through the silent dining halls and lush gardens of the monasteries, we gain a deeper appreciation for the enduring legacy of monastic sustenance, a legacy that continues to inspire and enlighten in our modern culinary practices. Conclusion. In the hushed halls of monastic communities, where silence harmonizes with devotion, the act of dining transcends mere nourishment and becomes a spiritual exercise. The monks' adherence to dining in silence not only reflects their religious commitments, but also emphasizes mindfulness and reflection during meals. This practice, rooted in spiritual discipline, offers modern readers a glimpse into how intentional eating can foster a deeper connection to one's inner self and surroundings. The simplicity and sustainability of monastic dietary practices reveal a profound respect for nature and its bounty. By relying on local ingredients and cultivating self-sufficiency, these communities demonstrate an enduring model of sustainable living. Readers are encouraged to embrace the spirit of simplicity in their own kitchens by choosing locally sourced and seasonal produce, which promotes both environmental stewardship and culinary authenticity. Bread and broth, the cornerstones of monastic meals, carry rich symbolism in the monks' spiritual lives. Bread represents sustenance and communion, while broth embodies warmth and nourishment. These humble foods remind us of the power of simplicity and the importance of community and sharing. In our contemporary world, embracing these symbols can inspire a return to more meaningful and connected dining experiences. Moreover, the monastery gardens, abounding with herbs, serve as a testament to the intertwined relationship between healing and cooking. The monks' knowledge of herbs as both culinary and medicinal tools underscores the holistic approach to health and wellness. Incorporating herbs into our daily meals not only enhances flavour, but also reconnects us with centuries-old traditions of natural healing. As we conclude this exploration of monastic sustenance, let us consider the lessons it imparts. To practice mindful eating, prioritise sustainability, find spiritual meaning in simplicity, and recognise the healing power of nature. May these insights inspire a renewed appreciation for the foods we consume and the spiritual connections they can foster. Chapter 4. Markets and Merchants. The heartbeat of medieval commerce. A day in the marketplace. The medieval marketplace was a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of daily life, pulsating with the energy of commerce and community. As the sun's first rays illuminated the cobbled streets, the market square transformed into a bustling hub, drawing people from all walks of life. From the distant echo of a blacksmith's hammer to the enticing aroma of freshly baked bread, the marketplace was a sensory feast that captivated the heart and soul of medieval towns and villages. The dawn of activity. In the early hours, before the marketplace awoke in full swing, merchants and traders began their preparations. Wooden stalls, draped in cloth and adorned with wares, lined the streets, creating a labyrinth of commerce. Each stall was a microcosm of medieval life, showcasing the diverse array of goods available for trade. The clatter of hooves announced the arrival of farmers from surrounding villages, their carts laden with produce harvested at dawn. The market was a kaleidoscope of colours, the deep greens of cabbages the rich reds of apples and the golden hues of ripe wheat. As the sun climbed higher, the market square became a stage for an intricate dance of interactions. The sound of laughter mingled with the clinking of coins, and the air buzzed with the murmur of haggling voices. Merchants from distant lands displayed exotic spices and textiles, their stalls a treasure trove of the unfamiliar and the coveted. Silk from the east glimmered in the morning light, while the scent of cinnamon and cloves beckoned curious passers-by. Merchants and their wares. The marketplace was a melting pot of cultures, where local and foreign merchants mingled, their goods telling stories of distant lands and cultures. Local farmers displayed their bounty with pride, their stalls brimming with fresh vegetables, fruits, and grains. The baker, a revered figure in the community, showcased his bread in all its form-scrusty loaves, sweet rolls, and hearty flatbreads. The blacksmith's stall was a testament to craftsmanship, with gleaming tools and sturdy cookware that promised durability. Foreign merchants were the harbingers of the exotic. Cloth merchants unfurled bolts of vibrant fabric, each piece a testament to the weaver's skill and the dyer's artistry. Spice traders, their fingers stained with the hues of their trade, extolled the virtues of their wares with passionate fervour. The allure of saffron, the warmth of nutmeg, and the pungency of pepper were more than mere flavours. They were status symbols, coveted by those who sought to elevate their meals and their standing. The art of bartering. In an age before standardised currency, bartering was the lifeblood of the marketplace. Coins were scarce, and transactions often involved the exchange of goods, services, or promises. The art of haggling was a skill honed over years, a dance of wit and negotiation that determined the day's fortunes. Merchants and customers engaged in lively debates, their voices rising and falling in a harmonious symphony of commerce. The marketplace was a theatre of human interaction, where trust and reputation were as valuable as the goods exchanged. A merchant's ability to secure a fair trade depended not only on the quality of his wares, but also on his standing within the community. Trust was currency, built on relationships, nurtured over many market days. The shrewd merchant knew his customers' preferences and needs, tailoring his pitch to appeal to both sentiment and necessity, community and connection. Beyond commerce, the marketplace was a crucible of community, a place where bonds were forged and stories shared. It was a forum for news and gossip, where travellers recounted tales of distant lands and local happenings were dissected with interest. The market was a meeting place for friends and family, where the mundane and the momentous intertwined. For the itinerant storyteller or bard, the marketplace was a stage, their tales of heroism and folly drawing crowds, eager for entertainment and escape. These performances were a reminder of the oral traditions that preserved history and culture, weaving the fabric of community through shared narratives. The marketplace was also a space of spiritual significance. Within its confines, one could find the itinerant monk or nun, offering blessings and spiritual guidance in exchange for alms or provisions. The presence of these religious figures was a reminder of the ever-present influence of faith in medieval life, a tether to the divine in the midst of earthly pursuits. The closing of the day. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the square, the marketplace gradually wound down. Merchants packed away their unsold wares, their minds already turning to the next market day. The remaining produce was often sold at a discount, a boon for the frugal shopper seeking to stretch their meagre coin. The marketplace, once a cacophony of sound and activity, became a more subdued space as the last of the day's business was concluded. The smell of cooked meats and stews wafted from nearby taverns and alehouses, inviting weary traders and shoppers to take their ease. Conversations continued over mugs of ale, as deals were struck and friendships reaffirmed. The medieval marketplace was more than a venue for trade. It was the heartbeat of a community, a place where the economic, social, and cultural threads of life converged. It was a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of a time when trade was more than a transaction, but a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. As the day ended, the market square was left with the echoes of its vibrant life, a promise of the commerce and camaraderie that would return with the dawn. Chapter 5. Crafting the Cookbook. Guardians of Culinary Secrets. The Medieval Chef's Chronicles. The genesis of culinary chronicles. In the heart of medieval Europe, as the art of cooking evolved from mere survival to a refined craft, the concept of preserving and transmitting culinary knowledge became paramount. The medieval kitchen was not just a place of sustenance, it was a sanctuary where the secrets of flavour, technique, and tradition were closely guarded treasures. The creation of a cookbook in this era was akin to crafting a legacy, an endeavour to immortalise the culinary arts that fed not only the body but also the soul. The earliest culinary manuscripts were more than mere collections of recipes. They were chronicles of the cultural and social milieu of their times. These books often began as handwritten notes, laboriously scribed by monks or skilled scribes in cloistered scriptoria. The process of compiling a cookbook was an intricate dance of knowledge and secrecy, a balance between sharing wisdom and preserving the mystique that surrounded the chef's art. The role of guilds and apprentices. In the bustling cities and serene monasteries, the culinary guilds played a crucial role in the dissemination of cooking techniques and recipes. These guilds, akin to secretive societies, were the custodians of culinary lore, ensuring that only the worthy had access to their guarded secrets. For aspiring chefs, gaining entry into a guild was both a privilege and a challenge, as it required not only skill but also the ability to uphold the guild's codes of secrecy. Apprenticeship under a master chef was a journey of both learning and loyalty. An apprentice's initiation into the guild was marked by solemn rituals where they swore oaths of secrecy, pledging to protect the guild's culinary heritage. The apprenticeship was a rigorous process, as young cooks learned the nuances of flavour, the alchemy of spices, and the art of presentation. However, it was the unspoken knowledge shared in hushed tones and cryptic notes that held the true essence of their education. Manuscripts, a labour of love and legacy. Creating a cookbook was a laborious process, often taking years to compile. Manuscripts were meticulously handwritten, each page a testament to the dedication of its creator. The writing materials themselves were precious: vellum made from animal skin, ink concocted from rare minerals and plants, and quills crafted from the feathers of geese or swans. The very act of writing was an exercise in patience and precision. The content of these cookbooks was not limited to recipes. They included advice on health and diet, notes on seasonal ingredients, and even philosophical musings on the nature of food and its role in society. Many manuscripts bore the marks of their owner's personal journey: marginalia with scribbled notes, flourishes of ink where inspiration struck, and stains from ingredients that marked the pages as tools in the kitchen. Recipes as riddles. To preserve the sanctity of their knowledge, medieval chefs often encoded their recipes in riddles or obscure language. Ingredients were referred to by poetic or symbolic terms, and cooking methods described in metaphorical phrases. This practice ensured that only those with the proper training and insight could decipher the recipes. For instance, a recipe might call for the tears of the moon, a poetic reference to dew, or a particular liquid ingredient, leaving the uninitiated puzzled. This practice of encoding recipes served a dual purpose. It protected the chef's intellectual property and added an element of mystique to their craft. The allure of deciphering these culinary puzzles contributed to the chef's reputation as both an artist and a sage, a purveyor of not just food, but of wisdom and wonder. The influence of trade and exploration. As trade routes expanded and explorers ventured into uncharted territories, the medieval kitchen was introduced to a plethora of new ingredients and flavours. The influx of spices from the east, exotic fruits from distant lands, and novel cooking techniques inspired chefs to experiment and innovate. Yet, the integration of these elements into established culinary traditions was a guarded process, carefully documented in the cookbooks of the time. The introduction of new ingredients was often met with both excitement and skepticism. Chefs had to balance the allure of novelty with the comfort of tradition, ensuring that their creations resonated with the palates of their patrons while preserving the core tenets of their culinary identity. The cookbooks became a canvas for this delicate interplay, capturing the evolution of medieval cuisine as it absorbed and adapted to the world beyond its borders. The legacy of culinary chronicles. The medieval cookbooks were more than mere collections of recipes. They were cultural artifacts that offered a glimpse into the values, aspirations, and innovations of their time. These manuscripts have endured the ravages of time, offering modern readers a window into a world where the kitchen was both a laboratory and a sanctuary. Today, these ancient texts continue to inspire chefs and historians alike, providing insights into the techniques and traditions that have shaped contemporary cuisine. The legacy of the medieval cookbook is a testament to the enduring power of food as a cultural touchstone, a symbol of both continuity and change. In the grand tapestry of culinary history, the medieval cookbook stands as a beacon of creativity and resilience, a reminder that the art of cooking is as much about preserving the past as it is about embracing the future. Through the pages of these ancient manuscripts, the voices of medieval chefs continue to resonate, whispering the secrets of their craft to those willing to listen and learn. Chapter 6. The Science of Bread. Bread, the daily loaf, and its regional variations. Bread, in the medieval era, was more than just a component of the diet. It was a cornerstone of everyday sustenance, a symbol of life, and a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of various cultures. The art and science of bread making, honed through generations, reflected the diverse geography, climate, and culture of the regions across medieval Europe. Understanding the evolution and significance of bread during this period offers a fascinating glimpse into the daily lives and culinary artistry of our ancestors. The ubiquity of bread. Bread was omnipresent in medieval diets, consumed by all social strata, from the humble peasant to the regal king. Its importance was such that a meal was often incomplete without it. In many households, bread functioned as a utensil as much as food, serving as a trencher type of edible plating which stews and meats were served. This ubiquitous presence of bread across the social spectrum highlighted its role as a great equalizer, nourishing bodies and binding communities together. The medieval populace depended on bread as a primary energy source, with carbohydrates forming the bulk of their caloric intake. This reliance was driven in part by the preservation qualities of bread, which, when properly made, could last several days or even weeks, a crucial feature in times when food storage technology was rudimentary at best. regional grains and techniques. A fascinating aspect of medieval bread making was the diversity of grains employed, which varied significantly by region. In the fertile plains of northern France and the Low Countries, wheat was predominant, giving rise to the finest white breads, prized for their lightness and texture. These breads were often reserved for the nobility and the affluent, being made from bolted flour that had been sieved to remove the bran. In contrast, the rocky terrains of Scotland and Ireland saw the cultivation of oats and barley, resulting in denser, darker loaves. These grains were more resistant to the cold and harsh growing conditions, making them a staple for the common folk. Barley bread, in particular, was a rustic staple, its earthy flavour a reflection of the rugged landscapes from which it originated. Further south, in the Mediterranean regions, the use of durum wheat, the same grain used to make pasta, was prevalent. This type of wheat produced a hearty, golden bread that mirrored the sunny climates of Italy and southern Spain. The bread from these areas was often seasoned with local herbs and olive oil, infusing it with the flavours of the region and making it a centrepiece of Mediterranean cuisine. Techniques and tools. The techniques of bread making were as varied as the grains themselves. Across Europe, bread was traditionally baked in communal ovens, a practice that not only economised fuel but also fostered community spirit. These ovens, often made of clay or stone, were heated with wood or charcoal, and their residual heat was utilised to bake the loaves. In some areas, such as the Germanic regions, the technique of sourdough fermentation was prevalent. This method, which relies on naturally occurring wild yeasts, imparted a distinctive tang and extended the shelf life of the bread. Sourdough, with its complex flavours and chewy texture, became a staple in these colder climates. Meanwhile, in the bustling cities of Italy, bakers perfected the art of using bigger, a type of pre-ferment, to produce bread with a light, open crumb and a crisp crust. This technique allowed for greater control over the fermentation process, resulting in consistently high-quality loaves. Cultural significance and rituals. Bread held profound cultural significance and was often intertwined with religious and social rituals. The act of breaking bread was a universal symbol of hospitality and friendship, a gesture of sharing and community that transcended social boundaries. In religious contexts, bread took on a sacred dimension, epitomised by its role in the Christian Eucharist, where it symbolised the body of Christ. This spiritual association imbued bread with a sense of reverence and ritual, underscoring its importance beyond mere sustenance. Innovations and adaptations. As societies evolved and trade routes expanded, so too did the ingredients and techniques available to medieval bakers. The introduction of new spices, such as cinnamon and nutmeg, allowed for the creation of spiced breads and sweetened loaves, which became popular during festive occasions and celebrations. Innovations in milling technology also played a crucial role in the development of bread. The advent of wind and water mills enabled the more efficient production of flour, reducing labour and increasing output. This advancement not only made bread more accessible, but also spurred experimentation with different grain blends and baking techniques. Conclusion: bread as a legacy. The science of bread making during the medieval period was a rich tapestry of regional variations, cultural significance, and technological advancements. It was a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability, reflecting the landscapes, climates, and traditions of the time. Understanding the role of bread in medieval society is more than an exploration of culinary history. It is a journey into the heart of a civilization that thrived on its creativity and resilience. Today, The legacy of medieval bread lives on in our appreciation for artisanal and traditional methods, reminding us of the enduring bond between bread and humanity. Chapter 7. The Alchemy of Broths. The Healing Cauldron. Broths as medieval elixirs. The medieval apothecary. Broths on the menu. In the heart of medieval Europe, where the shadows of illness loomed large and the flickering candlelight of medical knowledge was just beginning to shine, broths emerged not merely as sustenance but as potent elixirs. These humble concoctions, simmered over roaring fires, were steeped in the wisdom of apothecaries, who understood that food was not just a means to nourish the body, but a tool to heal it. Medieval diets were largely dictated by the seasons and the land's bounty, but when it came to broths, there was an added layer of intentionality. Each pot was a carefully constructed remedy, a culinary prescription aimed at restoring balance within the body. The ingredients were chosen not just for their flavours, but for their medicinal properties. AP practice deeply rooted in the principles of humoral theory, which dominated medieval medicine. Humoral theory, the guiding principle. The medieval understanding of health was governed by the theory of the four humours: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. This ancient Greek concept, further developed by Galen, suggested that these humours needed to be in balance for a person to remain healthy. When imbalance occurred, it was believed to cause illness, and the role of food, including broths, was to help restore equilibrium. Broths, with their ability to be both warming and nourishing, were seen as ideal vehicles for this purpose. A broth made with chicken, known for its warming properties, was often prescribed for those suffering from colds, believed to be caused by an excess of phlegm. Conversely, a broth made from cooling vegetables, like cucumber or lettuce, might be recommended for someone with a fever, thought to be an excess of blood. Ingredients of the elixir. The medieval kitchen was a treasure trove of ingredients that doubled as medicines. Herbs and spices played a pivotal role in the alchemy of broths. Considered more than mere flavour enhancers, they were the building blocks of healing. Garlic. Known for its warming qualities and believed to ward off evil spirits and illnesses, garlic was a staple in many broths. Its ability to stimulate circulation made it a valuable ingredient for the infirm. Sage. Revered as a powerful cure, sage was often included in broths intended to boost the immune system and improve digestion. Parsley. Used for its diuretic properties, parsley helped cleanse the body of impurities and was a frequent addition to broths aimed at detoxification. In addition to herbs, the choice of meat was crucial. While chicken was popular for its mildness and ease of digestion, beef and mutton were used for more robust broths meant to strengthen and fortify the weak. Fish broths, particularly from freshwater sources, were prescribed for those requiring a more delicate intervention. Broths as social and spiritual nourishment. In monasteries, where the art of healing was as sacred as the act of prayer, broths took on a dual role. Monks and nuns, who often served as the primary caregivers in their communities, prepared broths not just to heal the body, but to nourish the spirit. These broths were seen as a form of almsgiving, a way to offer comfort and care to the sick and needy. The act of preparing broths was itself a meditative practice, imbued with a sense of purpose and devotion. Each ingredient was selected with care, and the slow simmering process was a metaphor for the patience required in both healing and spiritual growth. In this way, broths became a bridge between the physical and the divine, a testament to the medieval belief in the interconnectedness of all things. The wisdom of the ages, recipes passed down. Many medieval broth recipes have been preserved through generations, albeit in altered forms. These recipes, often recorded in the margins of illuminated manuscripts or passed down through oral tradition, offer a glimpse into the culinary wisdom of the time. One such recipe, found in the pages of a 14th century English cookbook, details a broth made from veal and flavoured with spices such as cinnamon and ginger. This recipe was intended for those recovering from illness, as the richness of the veal was believed to invigorate and strengthen the body, while the spices provided warmth and protection against further ailments. Broths in times of plague. During the devastating waves of plague that swept through medieval Europe, broths took on an even greater significance. In a world where the causes of disease were poorly understood and effective treatments were scarce, broths were one of the few remedies available to soothe and nourish the afflicted. The bubonic plague, with its terrifying symptoms and rapid spread, led to the creation of broths specifically tailored to those suffering from its effects. These broths often contained ingredients believed to purify the blood and strengthen the immune system, such as burdock root and dandelion. Conclusion: the legacy of medieval broths. The tradition of using broths as medicinal remedies is a testament to the ingenuity and resourcefulness of medieval cooks and healers. While modern medicine has advanced far beyond the humoral theories of the past, the fundamental belief in the healing power of food remains. Today, the resurgence of interest in bone broths and herbal remedies echoes the medieval understanding of nourishment as a pathway to health. As we delve into the rich history of medieval kitchens, we are reminded that the line between food and medicine is often blurred, and that in the simple act of preparing a pot of broth, we are participating in a tradition that has nourished both body and soul for centuries. Broths, a delicate dance of flavour and function. The broth as a social mirror. In the medieval era, the humble broth was more than a mere dietary staple. It was a culinary reflection of one's social standing and resourcefulness. Broths served as a versatile canvas, allowing cooks to paint with the colours of available ingredients, from the humble turnip to the luxurious saffron. The broth told a story, not only of the land from which its ingredients were harvested, but also of the social milieu it represented. For the common folk, broths were a necessity, a means to stretch sparse ingredients into filling meals that could nourish entire families. These broths were often simple, relying heavily on readily available vegetables, grains, and occasionally the bones of animals after a hunt or slaughter. The emphasis was on sustenance, the flavours earthy and straightforward, but nonetheless comforting and satisfying. The common broth was a testament to ingenuity, an exercise in making the most out of little. In contrast, the broths served in the great halls of nobility were elaborate affairs, designed to please the palate and flaunt the wealth of the host. These broths were rich with exotic spices, rare ingredients, and often included meats that spoke of privilege and power. The broth, in this setting, was not just a meal but a statement, a way to impress guests and assert one's place in the social hierarchy. The ingredients. A journey of discovery. The ingredients of a medieval broth were determined by a variety of factors, including geographical location, season, and social status. In the countryside, the ingredients were dictated largely by what was grown locally and what could be foraged from the land. Root vegetables, wild herbs, and grains were common in village broths, creating a hearty and earthy flavour profile. For the upper echelons of society, however, the ingredients of a broth were as much about taste as they were about luxury. Imported spices such as cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg were used to create complex and aromatic broths, while the inclusion of meats like venison, pheasant, or even swan lent an air of opulence. The broth served at court was a melting pot of flavours, a testament to the trade routes and the reach of a kingdom's influence. The alchemist's touch, techniques and tools. Creating a broth was an art form, and the medieval cook was akin to an alchemist, transforming simple elements into something greater than the sum of its parts. The process began with carefully selected ingredients, each chosen for its contribution to the final flavour and texture of the broth. The cooking vessels themselves played a crucial role. Cauldrons of cast iron or clay were preferred for their ability to evenly distribute heat, allowing for a slow and even cooking process. This slow simmering was essential in extracting the deepest flavours from bones and vegetables, resulting in a rich and nourishing soup. Spices and herbs were added at different stages, with some, like bay leaves or thyme, being added early to infuse the broth with a subtle aroma, while others, such as saffron or parsley, were added towards the end to maintain their vibrant colour and flavour. A balance of flavours, the medieval palate. The medieval palate was one that appreciated a balance of flavours, a harmony between sweet, savoury, and sometimes even sour elements. This balance was reflected in the broths of the time, which often combined unexpected ingredients to create a complex and layered taste. For instance, the inclusion of fruits, such as apples or prunes, added a subtle sweetness that contrasted with the savoury depth of the meat and vegetables. Vinegars and wines were also used to introduce acidity, cutting through the richness of the broth and adding a refreshing note. This balance was not merely a matter of taste, but also of symbolism. In a time when superstition and belief in the humours were prevalent, the balance of flavours was seen as a representation of the balance in life, a physical manifestation of harmony and health. The broth as medicine, nourishment and healing. Beyond its role as a culinary delight, the broth was also valued for its medicinal properties. In an age before modern medicine, the kitchen was often the first line of defence against illness, and the broth was a cornerstone of this home-based healthcare. The warm liquid nature of broth made it easily digestible, ideal for the sick and infirm. Ingredients, such as garlic and onions, were prized for their supposed healing properties, believed to ward off colds and infections. Bone broths, rich in collagen and minerals, were thought to strengthen the body and restore vitality. In monasteries, where the knowledge of herbal medicine was often preserved, broths were sometimes infused with herbs, known for their healing properties, becoming both nourishment and remedy. These concoctions were not just food, but a form of preventive medicine, a way to maintain health and well-being in a world where illness was a constant threat. The cultural significance, a culinary legacy. The legacy of medieval broths extends far beyond their immediate nutritional value. They are a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of medieval cooks, who crafted these dishes with the resources available to them, creating meals that were both practical and pleasing. Today, the influence of these medieval broths can still be seen in the soups and stews of modern cuisine. The techniques, flavour combinations, and even some of the ingredients have endured a culinary legacy that speaks to the timeless nature of this simple yet profound dish. In essence, the broth was a culinary microcosm of medieval life, embodying the era's challenges and triumphs, its simplicity and sophistication. It was food for the body, the soul, and the social fabric, a dish that nourished the individual while reflecting the broader tapestry of medieval society. Chapter 8. Hunting and Foraging. The Noble Pursuit. Hunting for Prestige and the Table. The Call of the Hunt. In medieval society, hunting was not merely a pastime. It was a prestigious pursuit that showcased the skills, wealth, and status of its participants. As the sun began to crest the horizon, the air was often filled with the sounds of horns and hounds, signalling the start of a grand hunt. This noble sport was steeped in tradition and ceremony, reflecting the rigid social hierarchies of the time. Lords and ladies donned their finest hunting attire, often adorned with intricate embroidery and the family crest, as they prepared to ride into the forests and fields that stretched beyond their castles. Hunting provided a crucial source of food, but it was also a demonstration of power. The ability to hunt on vast tracts of land was a privilege reserved for the nobility, a right fiercely protected by laws and customs. The forests were not just landscapes of natural beauty, but were controlled realms where only the elite could roam freely. The game hunted during these excursions, deer, boar, and birds, found its way to the tables of the wealthy, symbolizing both sustenance and luxury. Rituals and preparations. Before the hunt could commence, a series of elaborate preparations were required. The gathering of participants, known as the hunt assembly, was a grand affair. Here, hunters would select their favoured steeds and weapons, ensuring that both were in prime condition for the day's activities. Bows and crossbows were meticulously inspected, and arrows were checked for straightness and sharpness. The master of the hunt, a position of great respect and responsibility, would direct the proceedings, ensuring that every element of the hunt adhered to tradition. This figure was responsible for selecting the route and the quarry, drawing on their intimate knowledge of the land and the habits of the game. The master's decisions were pivotal, as the success of the hunt depended on their expertise. The chase begins. Once the assembly was complete, the hunt began in earnest. The thrill of the chase was a spectacle to behold, with mounted riders and packs of hounds pursuing their quarry through dense forests and across open fields. The sound of hooves pounding the earth and the baying of hounds created a symphony of excitement and anticipation. Hunting was a test of skill and endurance. Riders needed to navigate challenging terrain, maintaining control over their horses, while keeping an eye on the elusive prey. The hunt required a keen understanding of the natural world, including animal behaviours and the signals of the hunt. Hunters relied on their knowledge of the wind, the lay of the land, and the patterns of their quarry to succeed. The trophy and the feast. Once the chase reached its climax and the quarry was captured, a new ritual began. The spoils of the hunt were not merely food, but trophies that demonstrated the prowess and skill of the hunters. The largest and most impressive animal, often a stag or boar, was displayed with pride, and its head or antlers became a symbol of victory and skill. The meat of the game was prepared for the table, where it was transformed into sumptuous dishes worthy of the nobility. Roasts, pies, and stews filled the banquet halls, offering a taste of the wild and a testament to the hunter's success. These feasts were not only culinary events, but social gatherings that reinforced alliances and showcased the wealth and status of the host. Hunting as a social affair. Beyond the practical and ceremonial aspects, hunting served as a crucial social platform for the nobility. It provided an opportunity for political discussions, the forging of alliances, and the negotiation of marriages and treaties. The hunt was a backdrop for diplomacy, where deals were struck and relationships were strengthened. The presence of ladies on the hunt added an element of courtship and social intrigue. While the men pursued the quarry, the women often engaged in falconry or observed the proceedings from carriages, adding their own grace and charm to the event. These gatherings allowed for the exchange of news, gossip, and favours, weaving a social fabric that was as intricate as the hunt itself: conservation and management. Interestingly, the medieval approach to hunting also included an early form of wildlife management. The nobility understood that overhunting could lead to scarcity, so they implemented measures to ensure sustainable practices. This included setting aside certain areas as hunting preserves and instituting closed seasons during which hunting was prohibited to allow populations to recover. These conservation efforts were not purely altruistic. They were driven by the desire to preserve the sport and the status it conferred. However, they laid the groundwork for future wildlife management and demonstrated an early awareness of the delicate balance between human activity and nature. The evolution of the hunt. As time progressed, the tools and techniques of hunting evolved. The introduction of new weapons and the refinement of hunting strategies reflected broader changes in society. However, the core elements of the hunt skill, prestige, and social interaction remained constant. Hunting manuals began to emerge, capturing the knowledge and traditions of the hunt. These texts served as guides, offering insights into the best practices and strategies for successful hunting. They were also a means of preserving the cultural heritage of the hunt, ensuring that future generations would inherit the knowledge and customs of their predecessors. Conclusion: Legacy of the hunt. The noble pursuit of hunting was a cornerstone of medieval life, embodying the values and hierarchies of the time. It was a nexus of power, tradition, and sustenance, where the natural world and human ambition intersected. The legacy of medieval hunting extends beyond its immediate impact, influencing modern practices of wildlife management and conservation. Today, the echoes of the medieval hunt can still be heard in the traditions and customs of modern hunting. While the context and tools have changed, the thrill of the chase and the allure of the hunt continue to captivate, a testament to its enduring place in human culture. As we reflect on this noble sport, we gain a deeper understanding of the medieval world and the intricate tapestry of life that unfolded within it. Nature's bounty, the seasonal symphony. Introduction. In the medieval world, the rhythm of life was inexorably tied to the changing seasons. This was especially true in the realm of food, where the medieval cook's reliance on nature dictated not only the availability of ingredients, but also the flavours and techniques that defined their culinary creations. From the tender greens of spring to the rich, earthy roots of winter, each season brought with it a unique bounty that shaped the diets of both peasants and nobility. This chapter delves into the intricate dance between the medieval cook and the natural world, exploring how the cyclical nature of the seasons influenced hunting and foraging practices, culinary choices, and even societal structures. Spring, the season of renewal. As the chill of winter receded and the days grew longer, medieval cooks eagerly awaited the arrival of spring. This was a time of renewal, when nature awoke from its slumber and offered a vibrant array of new ingredients. In the forests and fields, foragers gathered tender young greens, such as dandelion and nettle, which were prized for their fresh flavours and nutritional benefits. These were often used in soups and stews, lending a bright, verdant note that signalled the end of the harsh winter months. Spring was also the season for hunting small game, as animals emerged from hibernation and began to forage for food themselves. Rabbits and hares were particularly abundant, providing a much-needed source of protein after the lean winter months. The medieval huntsman, skilled with bow and arrow, would stalk these creatures with a keen eye, bringing back game that would be roasted over the hearth or stewed with the season's first herbs. In the gardens of monasteries and manors, the first crops of the year began to sprout. Peas, leeks, and onions were among the earliest vegetables to be harvested, forming the basis for simple yet flavourful dishes. The medieval cook, ever resourceful, would combine these with wild garlic and other foraged finds to create meals that celebrated the season's bounty. Summer, the time of abundance. With the arrival of summer, the medieval landscape was transformed into a cornucopia of abundance. This was the time when fields were heavy with grain and orchards burst with fruit, offering a wealth of ingredients for the creative cook. Foragers took to the woods in search of berries and mushrooms, while hunters pursued larger game such as deer and wild boar. The summer months were also a time for fishing, as rivers and streams teemed with trout, pike and eels. This bounty from the water was a crucial component of the medieval diet, especially in coastal regions where fishing communities thrived. Salted and smoked fish were common in kitchens, preserving the catch for the months ahead. In the gardens, a wide array of vegetables reached their peak. Cabbages, beans and carrots were plentiful, and the medieval cook took full advantage of this variety. Salads, a staple of summer dining, featured a medley of fresh produce, enhanced with herbs and edible flowers. Preservation was a key activity during the summer. Cooks and homemakers worked diligently to capture the season's abundance in jars and barrels, making jams, pickles, and preserves that would sustain them through the leaner months. This was a time of both feasting and preparation, as the medieval kitchen buzzed with activity. Autumn, the harvest season. Autumn, with its crisp air and golden light, was the season of harvest. This was the time when medieval communities came together to reap the rewards of their labour, gathering crops that had been nurtured throughout the year. The fields yielded wheat, barley, and oats, grains that were critical for making the bread that was a staple of every meal. In the orchards, apples and pears hung heavy on the branches, ready to be plucked and transformed into pies, ciders, and tarts. Nuts, too, were gathered in great quantities, providing a source of protein and fat that was highly valued. Chestnuts, hazelnuts, and walnuts were stored for the winter, their rich flavours enhancing a variety of dishes. Hunting reached its peak in autumn as game animals were at their fattest, having fed on the summer's bounty. Deer, in particular, were sought after, providing large quantities of meat that could be salted or smoked for preservation. The medieval larder was stocked with these provisions, ensuring a steady supply of food through the colder months. Foraging continued to play a crucial role, with mushrooms, berries, and wild herbs still available in abundance. The medieval cook, with a keen sense of seasonality, balanced these wild ingredients with cultivated produce, creating meals that celebrated the harvest. This was a time of gratitude and community, as feasts and festivals marked the culmination of the agricultural year. Winter, the season of survival. As winter descended upon the medieval world, the landscape turned stark and bare. This was the season of survival, when the resources gathered and preserved throughout the year became a lifeline for communities. The medieval cook's reliance on nature was never more apparent than during these months, when innovation and resourcefulness were essential. Root vegetables such as turnips, parsnips, and carrots were a mainstay of the winter diet, their hardy nature allowing them to be stored in root cellars for months. These were often boiled or roasted, providing a comforting and sustaining meal. Cabbages and leeks, too, were valued for their ability to withstand cold temperatures, forming the basis for hearty stews and soups. Meat, scarce during the winter, was a precious commodity. Salted and smoked game from the autumn hunts, along with fish preserved in summer, provided much-needed protein. The medieval cook used every part of the animal, creating dishes that made the most of these limited resources. Despite the challenges of winter, the ingenuity of medieval cooks shone through. They employed a variety of techniques to extend the shelf life of their food, from pickling to fermentation, ensuring that their families and communities remained nourished. The hearth, a central feature of every home, provided warmth and a place to gather, as meals were shared and stories told by the fire. Conclusion: the medieval cooks' reliance on nature was a testament to their adaptability and resilience. Through the changing seasons, they forged a deep connection with the natural world, embracing its challenges and celebrating its bounty. This relationship with the land not only shaped their culinary practices, but also their way of life, fostering a sense of community and continuity that endures in the culinary traditions of today. By understanding the seasonal symphony that guided the medieval kitchen, we gain a greater appreciation for the artistry and ingenuity of those who came before us, and the enduring legacy of their culinary heritage. Chapter 9: Medieval Beverages. A brew for all seasons. Beer and ale in medieval life. The essence of medieval brewing. In the tapestry of medieval life, where every thread tells a story of survival and community, beer and ale played a pivotal role. These beverages were more than mere thirst quenchers. They were symbols of sustenance and social cohesion. In a time when water sources were often unreliable and potentially unsafe, beer and ale emerged as the commoner's alternative, a liquid bread that nourished the body and spirit alike. Brewing as a craft. The art of brewing in medieval times was a craft passed down through generations, predominantly managed by women, often referred to as alewives. These women were the keepers of brewing secrets, using simple ingredients like malted barley, water, and yeast to create a staple that could be enjoyed by all. Each brew was unique, a reflection of local ingredients and the skill of the alewife. Brewing was typically a domestic affair, with households producing their own supply. As brewing technology and techniques evolved, it became a more organized industry, with some alewives establishing small-scale commercial breweries. This development marked the beginning of a thriving brewing economy that would continue to grow for centuries. Ingredients and process. The medieval brewing process was both simple and complex, rooted in the natural rhythms of the seasons. Barley, the primary grain, was malted by soaking it in water to encourage germination, and then dried to halt the process. This malted barley was crushed and mixed with hot water to create a mash, which converted the starches into fermentable sugars. The next crucial step was the addition of yeast, often an airborne variety that naturally settled into the brew. The fermentation process transformed the sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide, resulting in a beverage that was both nourishing and mildly intoxicating. In some regions, herbs and spices were added to enhance flavor and preserve the brew, a precursor to the hops used in later centuries. Ale versus beer, a distinction in the making. Though often used interchangeably today, ale and beer had distinct characteristics in medieval times. Ale was brewed without hops, relying on gruita mixture of herbs such as yarrow, sweetgale, and rosmarito impart flavour and bitterness. Beer, on the other hand, began to incorporate hops around the 12th century, a practice that spread from the Low Countries in Germany. Hops not only added a distinctive bitter flavour, but also acted as a natural preservative, allowing beer to be stored for longer periods. This innovation gradually led to the widespread preference for beer over ale, especially in urban centres, where trade and storage were more prevalent. Social and economic impact. Beer and ale were central to the social fabric of medieval society. Taverns and alehouses were the hubs of community life, where people gathered to share news, celebrate events, and discuss matters of importance. The alehouse was a place of refuge and camaraderie, where the boundaries of social class often blurred in the shared enjoyment of a pint. Economically, brewing was a significant industry, with taxes on ale and beer providing substantial revenue for local governments. The regulation of brewing and the sale of ale were carefully monitored, with ale tasters appointed to ensure quality and fair pricing. This not only protected consumers, but also maintained the integrity of the brewing trade. Health and nutrition. In an era where nutrition was a constant concern, beer and ale provided essential calories and nutrients. The brewing process eliminated harmful bacteria, making these beverages safer to drink than water from potentially contaminated sources. Rich in carbohydrates and low in alcohol, medieval beers were akin to a liquid meal, sustaining labourers and villagers alike through long working days. Monasteries played a crucial role in the development of beer, with monks experimenting with brewing techniques to produce superior quality products. Monastic beers were often stronger and more refined, reflecting the meticulous care and spiritual dedication of their makers. Legacy of medieval brewing. The legacy of medieval brewing continues to resonate in modern times. The techniques and traditions developed during this period laid the foundation for today's diverse beer culture. From craft breweries to global beer giants, the echoes of medieval alewives and monastic brewers are still heard in every pint poured. As we raise a glass to the past, we are reminded of the communal and cultural significance of beer and ale in medieval society. They were not just beverages, but vital components of daily life, bridging the gap between the mundane and the extraordinary, between survival and celebration. In their frothy embrace, we find a connection to our ancestors and a testament to the enduring power of shared experiences. Reflections on medieval beverages. As we conclude our exploration of medieval beverages, it is evident that the drinks of the time were far more than mere refreshments. They served as vital components of daily life, cultural markers, and social status indicators. Beer and ale, staples of the common folk, provided a safer alternative to often contaminated water sources, underscoring the ingenuity of medieval societies in ensuring survival through brewing. Meanwhile, wine distinguished the affluent, with its quality and origin reflecting wealth and sophistication. Mead and spiced beverages, reserved for celebrations and special occasions, highlighted the communal and festive spirit of the era, adding flavour and flair to gatherings. Throughout this chapter, we have also delved into the regulations that governed brewing practices, revealing a society keenly aware of the health implications of its beverages. These historical insights invite us to appreciate the intricate balance between necessity, luxury, and regulation that characterized medieval drink culture. For modern readers, the key takeaways lie in recognizing the cultural importance of beverages in shaping societal dynamics and the early understanding of food safety and regulation. As you embark on your culinary explorations or historical recreations, consider the roles these liquids played in the daily lives of our ancestors. Embrace the diversity of flavors and contexts that medieval beverages offer, and perhaps take inspiration to craft your own brews, mindful of tradition and creativity. Remember, much like in medieval times, what we drink can be as telling as how we live. Chapter 10. The Enduring Legacy. Echoes of the Past. Medieval influences in modern cuisine. Introduction. A culinary bridge across time. The echoes of medieval kitchens resonate in our contemporary culinary practices, often in ways we may not immediately recognize. As we delve into the enduring legacies of medieval cuisine, we uncover a rich tapestry of traditions that have woven themselves into the fabric of modern culinary arts. From the humble loaves of bread that grace our tables to the aromatic broths that warm our souls on cold days, the influence of medieval cooking is both profound and pervasive. Bread, the staff of life. Bread, often referred to as the staff of life, carries with it a history as rich as its flavour. In medieval times, bread was not just a staple, it was a symbol of sustenance and community. Today, the art of bread making remains a cherished tradition, with methods and recipes passed down through generations. The rustic sourdough, with its distinct tang and hearty crust, is a direct descendant of medieval bread-making techniques, where wild yeast and long fermentation times were key. The resurgence of artisan bakeries and the popularity of home baking during recent times reflect our deep-rooted connection to these age-old practices. The medieval practice of using a variety of grains for bread making also persists. Ancient grains such as spelt, barley, and rye, once common in medieval loaves, are celebrated today for their nutritional benefits and unique flavours. This diversity in grain usage not only harks back to medieval times, but also promotes biodiversity and sustainable agriculture in modern culinary practices. Broths. The alchemy of flavour. In medieval kitchens, broths were much more than simple soups. They were medicinal concoctions believed to have restorative properties. The concept of broth as a healing food has endured, with bone broths now considered a superfood for their nutrient density and health benefits. Modern chefs and home cooks alike embrace the medieval technique of slow cooking bones and vegetables to extract maximum flavour and nutrients, a practice that enhances both the taste and nutritional profile of today's broths. This method of cooking, rooted in medieval alchemy, transforms simple ingredients into complex, layered flavours, demonstrating the timeless appeal of this culinary tradition. The spice trade, a medieval legacy. Medieval cuisine was heavily influenced by the spice trade, which introduced exotic flavours to European kitchens. Spices such as cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg were prized commodities, used not only to enhance flavour, but also to demonstrate wealth and status. These spices, once rare and valuable, are now staples in our spice racks, testament to their enduring appeal. The use of spices to create balance and depth in dishes is a culinary principle that remains central to modern cooking. Medieval cooks understood the art of seasoning, using spices to elevate dishes and create complex flavour profiles. This legacy is evident in contemporary cuisines worldwide, where spices are used not only for taste, but also for their aroma and colour, enriching the culinary experience. Fermentation. Ancient techniques, modern applications. Fermentation is another medieval technique that has found a prominent place in today's kitchens. In an era before refrigeration, fermentation was essential for preserving food, but it also created unique flavours and textures. Foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and pickles, all products of fermentation, are celebrated today for their probiotic benefits and distinctive tastes. The revival of interest in fermentation reflects a broader trend towards traditional and sustainable food practices. Chefs and food enthusiasts are rediscovering the depth and complexity that fermentation brings to dishes, experimenting with ancient techniques to create innovative new flavours. This ongoing exploration of fermentation is a testament to the enduring legacy of medieval culinary ingenuity, the art of presentation. From medieval feasts to modern plates, the medieval banquet was a spectacle, a feast for both the eyes and the palate. Presentation was paramount, with elaborate dishes designed to impress and entertain. This emphasis on visual appeal continues in modern gastronomy, where the art of plating transforms food into visual masterpieces. Contemporary chefs draw inspiration from medieval feasts, using colour, texture, and composition to enhance the dining experience. The concept of food as art, with an emphasis on presentation, is a direct descendant of the medieval tradition of lavish, visually stunning banquets. This focus on aesthetics, paired with culinary excellence, showcases the lasting impact of medieval dining customs. Conclusion: a timeless legacy. The influence of medieval culinary practices on modern cuisine is both deep and far-reaching. As we continue to explore and embrace these ancient traditions, we find ourselves connected to a rich history that informs and enriches our current culinary landscape. The enduring legacy of medieval kitchens is a testament to the timeless nature of food as a symbol of community, culture, and creativity. In every loaf of bread, every simmering broth, and every carefully plated dish, the echoes of the past blend seamlessly with the innovations of the present, creating a culinary tapestry that spans the ages. Savouring the past, a culinary legacy. In revisiting the flavours and techniques of medieval kitchens, we uncover not only a tapestry of history, but also a culinary legacy that continues to influence our tables today. The remnants of medieval culinary practices are woven into modern cuisines, where ancient grains find new life in artisanal breads, and traditional broths offer comfort and nourishment. This revival of old recipes and techniques enhances our appreciation for the rich tapestry of food heritage, reminding us of the enduring symbols of bread and broth as markers of identity and tradition. As we reflect on the communal aspects of medieval foodways, we see their echoes in contemporary society, where meals remain a unifying force, fostering connection and community. In embracing these legacies, we not only honour the past, but also enrich our present culinary landscapes. For those inspired by this journey through medieval kitchens, the key takeaway is to explore and incorporate these time-honoured practices into your culinary repertoire. Experiment with ancient grains, try your hand at crafting traditional broths, and savour the communal experience of shared meals. Let the enduring legacy of medieval cuisine enrich your understanding of food as a bridge between past and present, nurturing both body and spirit. Conclusion: as our journey through medieval kitchens draws to a close, we find ourselves enriched by the flavours and stories of a bygone era. Bread and Broths, a journey through medieval kitchens, has offered a glimpse into the heart of medieval life, where food was more than mere sustenance. It was a reflection of culture, community, and continuity. Throughout the chapters, we've explored the opulence of royal feasts, the humble meals of village hearths, and the disciplined sustenance within monastic walls. We've delved into the bustling markets that were the lifeblood of medieval trade, and we've unearthed the secrets of crafting bread and broths that have stood the test of time. The key points of this book reveal that medieval cuisine was diverse, innovative, and deeply intertwined with the socio-economic and cultural fabric of the era. From the science behind bread making to the alchemy of broths, each chapter has unveiled the meticulous art of cooking that was both practical and symbolic. In looking back, we are reminded of the enduring legacy of these culinary traditions. They offer us valuable lessons in sustainability, resourcefulness, and the importance of communal dining lessons that resonate even in our modern kitchens. As you close this book, consider how you might incorporate the wisdom of medieval kitchens into your own culinary practices. Embrace the simplicity and creativity in using seasonal and local ingredients. Revive the art of slow cooking and take the time to savor meals shared with family and friends. Most importantly, let each meal be a celebration of history and connection. By drawing inspiration from the past, we enrich our present and pave the way for a future where food continues to be a source of nourishment, joy, and unity. Thank you for embarking on this journey through time and taste. May your own culinary adventures be filled with discovery and delight.